Hello again, and good day to you. Today, I'm going to start off with some fun that I had with the camera. I ended up seeing a tiger butterfly and was able to get some footage of it. So, by the time I got the camera out and started getting some photos of him, he was just kind of chilling there, not doing anything. It's just time to rest, I guess. Who knows, maybe he was actually asleep. But I believe the official name is a western tiger swallowtail butterfly. This is using a Tamron 150 to 600 zoom lens, telephoto lens, and 3 extension tubes. The butterfly is actually about probably close to 30 feet away from where I'm actually sitting. So it's a pretty good zoom, and then it's kind of fun to use the macro lenses with that because it allows the telephoto lens to be a really long distance. The extension tubes allow it to become a really long distance macro lens. But then there was the other morning. I actually woke up and was sitting at work and looked out the window and saw a gorgeous sunrise through some misty clouds, and I thought this would be a fun experiment to see what differences there actually are between the different lenses, and I figured I'd start with my cell phone. And so this is a T-Mobile branded Revel 5G, and then this is the comparison to one of the first camera lenses, the EFS 24 f2.8. So you can see there's quite the difference in color. As far as the zoom goes, the zoom, it makes a big difference, but you'd miss out on a lot. And then this is actually the second of my pancake lenses, the 50 millimeter f 1.8, and I actually got these two lenses specifically for astrophotography, being able to take better night photos. But they actually make a pretty big difference in the daytime too. And then this, we're going to just shift the focal point, and I really like this particular picture. I don't actually know why, to be honest. It just seems like a really cool picture to me. So the shift in the color was kind of cool to see, just by changing where the camera's actually looking. It basically changes the white balance. So next up, we're going to zoom in here, and this is the shot. Basically, all of these are pretty much from the same place. And this one is with a Tamron 75 to 300 telemacro lens is what they call it. I don't feel like it really does a very good macro job, but it's a decent telephoto for short distances. And again, just changing positions to experiment and see how things are going with the different colors and whatnot. And this one also is one that I actually really liked. But this ash tree in the foreground of the photo, those are about 150 feet away from me, as you can see from going back to the cell phone picture. So I don't know, that was just a bit of a fun little experiment. However, that sun was bright enough that that was a mistake to look at it through a camera lens, and especially through a telephoto lens. I had a migraine for about 3 days, and I was seeing spots for about a day and a half, so I definitely don't recommend. In fact, I recommend that you don't do that. The the photos are pretty cool, but they were not worth having the headache that came with trying to look at the sun, even through those clouds. It condensed onto there. That was just too bright. Anyway, so now on to the footage. So we've got things leveled. We've got the fire pit rocks in place. We've got the benches kind of positioned roughly where I want them. They might move a little bit, but what I've got is a bunch of scrap industrial carpet. And this came from our church as they remodeled or replaced the carpet anyway. They didn't really do a remodel. But the guy who was in charge needed some help getting things just to the dump, and I happened to have a truck and a trailer that we could use for that, so we went and loaded it up, and I said, hey, I could use this for all kinds of things on our property to prevent spreading mud. Do you care if I take some of this? And he was like, no, if I don't have to pay to dump it, that's all the much better for me. So it has been used for quite a few different projects involving trails and dirt and gravel and things. And it's interesting because it actually gives a little bit of a springiness to the gravel as you're walking around the fire pit, which is rather nice. But at the moment, I'm just bringing over some gravel that we got for this. This is just a 5/8 inch minus crush. So it's the smallest stuff that comes off the crusher after they kick out all the bigger stuff. And for example, the 2-inch drain rock that was used for the French drain through this area, that actually would have been out of the same batch, for instance. I mean, I don't know that it was, but as they're running it, the crusher would kick all of that stuff out and spit that off to the side into a big pile, and then this stuff would go up the conveyor at the end into a different pile. So it's a pretty cool process to actually watch that as it happens. But it sure takes a lot of gravel to do this. We only got one trailer load for this particular project, and that was almost enough. It could have done with just being a little bit thicker, and you can see there's the little white spots in that area that I just shoveled. That is some of the leftovers of the 2-inch drain rock, which isn't going to hurt anything by being in an area filled with gravel. But being able to walk around the fire pit is pretty nice, and we were trying to get this done before we had my dad and his wife come up, and my brother and his girlfriend come up, and our friends from Renton come down, and my daughter and her husband and daughter coming out to visit. And so we wanted a place to actually hang out and relax, so we didn't have to worry about mud. And it's during the summertime, so mud isn't as big of an issue or concern, but I'm glad we did, because it ended up raining a fair amount, actually. So it did end up being a definite benefit. But one of the biggest advantages of having this is that I now have a place where I can cook outside again. I thoroughly love doing that. and I'll show you some photos of that at the end of the video. But what we're doing now is we've got a friend that we met through the one of the milling groups on Facebook, and they have a bunch of giant cedar trees on their property, and we had talked about the fact that he needed to cut some branches down, and I wanted to get some cedar to build some outdoor furniture, kind of like the thrones from the wedding, although probably like 2 or 3 times wider, so it's like a kind of like a love seat, basically. So you can have a couple of people sit and relax in it. And I don't know exactly what I'm going to do. We're cleaning off the boughs from the branches, and then just kind of piling them up, and then when I get a time where I can't do dirt work or something like that, and I'm going to be stuck indoors under a roof, then I'll pull out some tools and see what I can come up with. And I guess I should probably apologize if my voice is a little off. I'm fighting off a bit of a bug that has at times wiped out my voice entirely. So I look forward to when this passes. But we're trying to keep anything that's basically bigger than like my index finger, so like a ½ inch thick, 3/4 of an inch thick, because even that stuff can be used for like the so the supports and the backs and things like that, where you can put several of them in place, and they can all help support a larger load than they would by themselves. So we'll see what things end up with. And Kernigan had to come and hang out. We actually have a couple of kittens that we got, and as cute and playful and cuddly as they are, we are struggling to get Kernigan to accept them. Her last experience with kittens was actually a little bit, I think, traumatic for her. So I think she's having a hard time with these new kittens, because we had a pair of kittens that we rescued before we moved to Washington, and as they got bigger, they became quite the terror. They definitely were, between the two of them, taking over the house, and the older cats didn't like that. So we'll see how that goes. Who knows? But yeah, see, there's some good sized branches that he was able to get for us. They'll definitely make some pretty awesome furniture when I get to figuring out what exactly it is that I want to do, how I want them to go together. So, but at this point, all right. So this first picture, this is just the fire pit area from a little bit different angle. You can see the end of the drain area. And we will get some grass seed around out the fire pit area, so everything that's not covered in gravel will get a good grass mix laid down, help prevent weeds, and make sure everything's nice and as relaxing as possible for whatever might come. And then here you can see we've got the fire going, and I've got a fire on one side of the pit to make coals and keep a fresh bed of coals, and then I've got a coal bed on the other side that we're cooking over. And this is a batch of rockfish, sea bass that we had got. It's really quite a yummy fish. It's a very mellow, very, very mellow fish. Good one if you ever have it available and have somebody who's not exactly a fan of fish but is willing to try. This is a good fish to used to kind of introduce them. It's got a good texture, good flavor. Yeah, anyway, but yeah, we roasted those fillets over the coals, and I've got some cherry and alder that we added to it for some smoke flavor. Turned out to made some amazing fish, and we ended up using some of that to actually make a cream cheese fish dip, salmon dip kind of a thing, just with the smoked rockfish instead of salmon. It was quite amazing. Alright, this is another night. We've got another cook pit going, and this is actually rabbit bacon. That's the belly meat from the rabbit. When we process and sell the rabbit, we trim that off as part of the offal, and kind of consider that one of the, like a chef's cut type of a thing. We've enjoyed using that in a lot of different ways, but we thought we would actually treat it as bacon, and so we marinated it and seasoned it, and then we let it age for I don't know, 5 or 6 days in the marinade, and then brought it out and fried them up, and it was quite amazing. As you can see here, we got a really nice char on them. There were a couple of them that were a little closer to the coals than they should have been, but most of them have just a perfect char on them, and really good charbroiled flavor. They turned out to be quite amazing on their own, just to eat them by themselves. But one of the things that I thoroughly enjoyed was actually making a rabbit bacon haggis burger out of them. And that's what we have here. Some roasted spuds and onions, a toasted bun with a rabbit haggis burger, which is the heart, liver, kidneys, pancreas, and a little bit of the leaf fat, all boiled together with some, and then cooked with some onion and some roasted barley or oats, was what we ended up using. The barley, when I have that available, is definitely a better choice. A richer, deeper flavor, so it's just a more enjoyable thing, but the oats work. And then we've got some tomato and some rabbit bacon on top, and it made quite the delicious sandwich, actually. The only downside to the haggis patties is that unlike a regular meatloaf, they don't really stay together very well, so we ate it with a fork, basically. But the flavor was quite amazing. Okay, and then the final picture for today was finishing some of the progress on the rock entrance. So this is just the east side of the entrance. We've got the gravel down, we've got the rocks in place with a little bit of cement, and then we threw some thick large pieces of cardboard down to just kind of help take care of the grass and the weeds, and then a nice thick layer of wood chips on top of that to break down, and we'll eventually have a flower garden through here. This is one of the places where Emily wanted to have a nice flower garden, so but that'll be the end of the footage and photos for today. So as always, thank you for your time, thank you for watching. God bless you and yours, and I hope you're able to stay safe and healthy out there.